Hey guys, this is John from Walton's, and this is High-Temp Cheese. Now, Walton's High-Temp Cheese comes in 1/4-inch cubes, and we do have 5 flavors of it. We have cheddar, hot pepper, mozzarella, Swiss, and ghost pepper for those of you who are more adventurous and like a spicy addition to your sausage. Now, one of the questions we get all the time is, what is the difference between regular cheese and our high-temp cheese? Well, it's actually not that much. They are both 100% cheese. It's just that one is processed slightly different. With normal cheese, you're gonna let the temperature come down before you start the curdling process. Now, depending on how you do that, you may be adding an acidifier like lemon juice or vinegar, or you might be using rennet. With this, we're going to start that curdling process while the temperature is still high. What that does is it creates a denser product, and it's gonna make the cheese much more resistant to melting at any temperature. This type of cheese can stand up to 400 degrees for up to 5 minutes before it starts melting and deforming. Regular cheese is going to be a liquid mess by that point. The reason we tell you to use this cheese in both your fresh and cured products is because if you use regular cheese, when you go to cut into or bite into it, you're gonna end up with a void where your cheese was and a vague cheese flavor. With this, that cheese is gonna stay exactly where it's supposed to be for both flavor and appearance. And let's be honest, appearance is absolutely part of the eating experience. Now, we do like to use it in both fresh and cured products, but we do like to use it in different percentages. For a cured product, I really feel like the meat should be the main star, along with the seasoning, obviously. The cheese is just supposed to be an accent. If we get up to 10% of our product's weight in cheese, so that's if you're making a 10-pound batch, if you use 1 pound, that tends to be a little too high in my opinion. I like to stay somewhere around the 8%. There's another advantage to that number. That's 2 pounds of seasoning to a 25-pound batch. Makes it easier for you when you're shopping, because all of our seasonings are designed for 25 pounds. So if you're making a full batch, just pick up 2 bags of cheese instead of trying to get to 10%, which would be 2.5 bags of cheese. Now, when we're making a cured product like a bratwurst, have at it. Add as much cheese as you want. There are some flavors like the Mac Attack Brat, where the more cheese you add, the merrier. Now, the cheese might start to get just a little bit melty depending on what temperature you grill or smoke it at, but on a fresh brat, that is absolutely a feature and not a bug. Now, the shelf life on Walton's cheeses is gonna be 60 days on the low end. That's if you get it and just put it in your refrigerator, it will last 60 days from the time you receive it. You can extend that greatly, all the way up to 18 months if you put it in a freezer and leave it in there. If it comes out and goes back in a bunch, that is gonna degrade the product, but if it stays in a freezer, you can get 18 months. When we first started using high-temp cheese, one of the things we used to tell people to do is add it during the last 60 seconds of your mixing process. The reason for this is we were afraid that the cheese pieces were gonna deform with the mechanical action of either paddles or hand mixing. Through years of making sausage, we've discovered that it really doesn't matter. You are absolutely free to add your cheese right at the beginning of the mixing process. Now, there are also some alternative uses for high-temp cheese. You can add them to burger patties. That's a fairly common use. I've seen people add them to homemade breads. I've even seen people add them to salads or tacos. Now, in my opinion, just use regular cheese for tacos, but I've seen people do it and it does work. Or they do make convenient snacks if you're sitting around, you've got nothing but that bag of cheese and you're hungry. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you're making snack sticks and you're adding a lot of cheese, it can actually make the stuffing process just a little bit harder, especially if you're trying to use a 16mm casing and a 10mm tube. These are 1/4-inch little pieces, and it is gonna be harder to stuff if you're using cheese than if you're not. As always, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and visit waltons.com and meatgistics.com to find everything but the meat. Thanks for watching. I'm John with Waltons, and we'll see you guys next time.